This is a game of Two-Headed Dragon that we played at the Portland Game Store in Portland, Oregon. And Two-Headed Dragon, or 2HD, is a fan-made multiplayer format created by Beasts of the Bay, which is an old-school Magic fan group and also a sorcery group down in California. The mat is a collaboration between them and the artist Brian Smith, who did the Color Out of Space artwork. Two-Headed Dragon is a casual multiplayer format. It's a fun format. It's a little hectic, so we'll do our best with this video, and I hope it's interesting to watch. Both players, it is a game played in teams of 2. Both players for each team take their turn simultaneously for the team, and then pass turn to the other team. So at the bottom of the screen on the left is myself, and my partner is Stu, playing the Templar. At the top of the screen on the left is Jesse, playing Sorcerer, and on the top right is his partner, Kellen, playing Death Speaker. So the rules for Two-Headed Dragon for multiplayer are slightly modified in that each player controls their own hand. You don't share hands between teammates. Cards that affect our target allies only target allies that you control. So you can't affect or target. You can't target allies that your teammate controls. Once you connect a site that you control adjacent to a site that your teammate controls, you are allowed to additionally cast your minion cards to each other's sites. So you can't do that before you connect landmass, but once you are connected, you are able to cast between sites that your team controls freely. So that play that I just did there with Rift Valley had a dual value there, bumping forward his double Brother Knight, as well as connecting our sites early, giving us that utility. There's some other specific rules for Two-Headed Dragon, and Beasts of the Bay keeps kind of an updated and ongoing kind of rules list for the format. I'll link to their site in the description of this video. Jesse playing a step, inching towards Kellen's landmass here. Kellen plays Color Out of Space, and I think he's discussing with Jesse about optimal placement for that. Obviously, he doesn't want to get it. He doesn't want to get boxed out because Color Out of Space has to have at least one void square adjacent to it in order to take advantage of its abilities. Ultimately, he chooses to do a reposition, plays out a Violamp to ping out one of the Brother Knights. Brother Knights can be a very good early aggressive card. That 2 toughness on them does make them vulnerable to a lot of effects, most notably, say, like Violamp pings or kobolds. So this is our turn 3 here. Went ahead and tacked in on the unicorn to the leprechaun just to get rid of it. There was no real playing around that, so it's just best to keep moving forward. And then follow up with a second unicorn, which was a really good play for me on curve there. to get double unicorns turn 3 and then turn 4. Stu played out, I think that was a Verdant Knight. I apologize, it's a little difficult to see the right side of the screen. We are somewhat limited with the lighting conditions at the game store. And this was the best corner that we could find. And then, however, just because the dimensions of the two-headed dragon mat are much wider than a standard single-player game, it pushed us a little too far into the light over there. Jesse and Kellen starting their turn. Kellen playing out a windmill connecting their land masses. And I believe that they are... Oh, no, he decided to move that, I guess. They are talking pretty closely at this point, just because they're somewhat on the back foot here. I think Jesse is feeling a lot of pressure with the unicorns coming in at him. Just the unicorns are 4 power each, so that represents 8 points of damage each turn if they can't deal with them. Stu also has a lot of minion presence on the board right now, so they need a way to start stabilizing the minion presence on the board. Kellen playing a ring onto his death speaker, and then playing an angel's egg to the death speaker. We decided before we started this game that we would limit the eggs to one per player, and then like one. I think it was like one in play at a time per team. I don't think that Beast of the Bay has that officially on the restricted or banned list that they have for the two-headed giant rules. We seem to recall that was a rule for a multiplayer format at some point. But looking at the rules for two-headed dragon again, I think that they don't officially call that out for this format of game. I think it's mostly used more for like the 4-player free-for-all format, just because the eggs tick at the end of every single turn. So going a whole round with 4 players represents 4 points of damage per turn before the time it gets back to you, and it just feels a little unfair to have either angels or devil's eggs tick that way. We got a huge strike. We got a huge strike turn on this turn here, so they didn't have a solution to combat these unicorns. So that's like 8 points of damage in. Stu, I believe, managed to get another 8 points of damage in with what he had on board, and then just playing out I'm playing out a kettle top just to keep pushing minions onto the board, as well as Stu is. I think he common sensed for a grapple shot, just to help get him set up for future turns. Another crucial rule to the format for two-headed dragon is that once a team gets to half their life total, which is 15, once they get to the 15-point life total mark, that becomes their new cap for health. So they can still heal, it's just that they cannot heal back up to 30, which is the starting point of health for a team in two-headed dragon. They can only heal up to 15 as the new cap. Jesse getting out a timely Poison Nova to take care of those unicorns. And I believe that he couldn't move up with the sorcerer. He needed to tap to draw an additional card to use that ability, and I think he probably pulled that on the second on the second card, so he couldn't tag the Leprechaun with that attack as well. Kellen choosing to play a Fey Changeling to bounce. A Fey Changeling to bounce. I think that was the Verdant Knight back to Stu's hand to try to slow him down a little bit here, and then getting enough ping damage off onto the Brother Knight to remove that, send it to the cemetery. So it was a decent turn for them. They were able to stabilize the board. They were able to stabilize the board. Unfortunately, they did hit that 15 that 15 point health mark, so they have recapped their health total. Stu using a Dispel, choosing to just get rid of the ring, so it is no longer a tool that they're going to be able to use in this game. I am weighing my options here. The matchup that I have in terms of where I was positioned on this game against Jesse, it was probably pretty favorable. Jesse playing a lot of Earth sites, and then Avatar of Earth. Obviously, I want to get that thing forward, and then I want to get it into a position where it's being powered up for at least 4 or even 5 or 6 points of power, because then at that point it just starts becoming a freight train. Just being able to swing with just the Avatar for that amount of damage per turn, it really puts a lot of pressure on their game. I'm playing a proxy card. There was one proxy in this deck that I forgot about. It's a Mad Dash, but I wrote Ring of Morgan on there. And I think I asked Kellen if we could swap that out for the camera here, just because it's already dispelled. Yeah, so we go ahead and do that just for clarity's sake. Swap out the proxy, and then passing turn back to Jesse and Kellen. Kellen playing a Root Spider under Jesse's Desert, and they do have land masses connected now, so they can cast minions to each other's sites. So that's a good example of kind of one of the ways that Two-Headed Dragon teams can coordinate and cooperate to advance the board state overall across the entire board for themselves. The Root Spider alone would have stopped the Verdant Knight from being able to get in there. However, Jesse then plays a Firebolts to clear that from the board, and then follows that up with a Slumbering Giantess. The Slumbering Giantess is it is actually a good combo played on a site affected by Root Spider, because when it comes into play, the ability text on the Slumbering Giantess is disabled, so it doesn't come in asleep. And then on their next turn, all they have to do is move away the Root Spider, and the Slumbering Giantess is active. So that was a lot of really good synergy between their two decks. Jesse likely is also running Root Spiders in his deck to kind of help facilitate that combo. Or I guess he doesn't have to be running them, but he might also be running his own Root Spiders. But it was just fortunate, because like he obviously didn't have one, and Kellen had the ability to get one in there. Kellen at one point in time here has gotten a Summoning Sphere onto Stu's side of the board. I am taking the opportunity here to cast a Grapple Shot to remove the Slumbering Giantess, and then also swing in with my Avatar of Earth. The calculated power on the desert where Avatar of Earth is and enters is I want to say six power. currently, and that's because there's 2 Earth sites that I control powering it up, and then there's also 3 Earth sites that Jesse controls powering it up. Stu playing out a Green Knight onto that tournament ground. I think he has to play it there because of threshold requirements for the Green Knight. Green Knight requires 3 blue water element threshold. I think the Jesse and Kellen also realize that when I attack in with the Avatar of Earth, they have the option to block with the Root Spider, because the Root Spider is burrowed below, but it can step up from below, directly below, to block that attack coming in, and they choose to do that instead of taking 6 points of damage that turn. Jesse, it looks like, plays the Kettletop Unicorn and then Shatter Strikes to remove the ring from the Avatar of Earth, which is a decent play. If they had the opportunity to remove the ring, probably better to do that since it is in position now. It's in a really good position against Jesse's Sorcerer. Just able to swing in on that site for 6, and then if it remained nearby, being able to use Jesse as a target to ping on the ring for every spell cast would be a ton. Turn is passing back to Stu and I, so we're looking at what we can do here. I think I'm set up with 5 mana base from sites, and that's kind of, I think, what I'm gonna have here for the rest of the game. Avatar of Earth now in a position where it is a better resource to be swinging away with it than tapping 4 sites. I play a Bodyguard to pick up that Lance for 4 mana. I double checked with Stu, I think, before I took my turn on my side of the board, just to see if there was anything he needed help with, and with the cards I had in my hand. And he said he was okay. Like it was going to be a self-contained turn for him. So he plays out Sir Bors. Sir Bors. Again, like Sir Bors is a decent card. It's a little. It is a little soft, meaning like it's a little like it is open to removal with only 2 toughness. But if it sticks around, range 2 with a power of 4 is nothing to sneeze at. And so where it sits right now, unless Kellen can remove it this turn, it's gonna tap for a ranged attack when they pass turn back to us, and shoot the Death Speaker for 4 points of damage. The Green Knight forced an attack last turn from the Fey Changeling. Oh no, I'm sorry. I believe it is their turn right now. So like the Green Knight forced a couple of attacks. I think there's currently 4 points of damage on that thing. So right now, Jesse and Kellen are talking about what their options are if they can get the last 3 points of damage on it to remove it. That would probably be beneficial for them to take the opportunity to get rid of it. 7 toughness on the Green Knight makes it somewhat difficult to deal with unless you have a direct removal spell that can affect it. So already having 4 points on board, it would be good to take advantage of that and try to come up with the last 3 that they need. So I think that's what they're talking about here. Jesse's side of the board, he's in a bad position just because Avatar of Earth represents 6, swinging for 6. The bodyguard undefended would swing for 5, so they're looking at 11 points of damage in unless they get a blocker or remove at least the bodyguard. Kellen is feeling pretty confident that he can take care of his side of the board for now. And he's got Genesis minions in there to take advantage of the speaker ability. So what he's choosing to do is he's casting a Violimp from hand with the Summoning Sphere to deal 2 points to the Cerberus to kill it. And then he's flashing back in the Fey Changeling from the graveyard to bounce the Green Knight back into Stu's hand. So that doesn't remove the threat for them, it just kind of kicks the can down the road. But it does buy them a turn or two to come up with a better solution for dealing with it. Jesse, I think, common sense to find a Violimp, play that Violimp, and then play a second Violimp from hand, dealing 4 points of damage to the bodyguard to remove it from the table, as well as create 2 blockers. 2 blockers on the site with the Avatar of Earth. So not a bad play. A good. They're doing a really good job, kind of trying to stabilize the board in this game. I think throughout this game, I have a lone foot soldier token just kind of hanging out on the desert, and like half the time I forget it's there, and sometimes I swing with it. 2-headed dragon games are pretty hectic. There's a lot to keep track of. I mean, it is difficult enough just keeping track of board state in a single player game, but with a larger board with the teammates, I mean half the time I'm only aware of what's going on my side of the board, unless Stu mentions that he needs some help or wants to strategize about a specific problem. I go ahead and cast Divine Healing since we were at 20 health to get back up to 27 there. I always feel a little dirty playing Divine Healing. It's a lot of value from that card for a single point of mana. Healing 7 points is a huge swing. And maybe I just have like PTSD from having to play Archimago a lot and having Archimago just constantly recasting Divine Healing in those matches. I go ahead and swing in with the Avatar of Earth onto one of the Violimps just to kind of keep the train rolling and keep that pressure going. I do remember the Foot Soldier token this turn, so I swing with that for another point of damage. Looks like I cast a Cattle Top to my village just to pick up the lance. Stu deliberating on what to do on this turn. I think ultimately just recast the Green Knight. There it is, and taps Templar for a sight. Turn passes back to Jesse and Kellen. They're looking at their options here. I think that they had to strategize and talk a little bit more during this game, just because we had a lot of early game and sustained pressure on the board, so it felt like they were on the back foot the majority of the time here. Especially with like Avatar of Earth, just kind of like getting established and getting into position there, it made it very hard for them to deal with. I think the only thing that would have defanged that a little bit for Jesse would have been if I don't even know if he's running an Earthquake or not, but if he had somehow managed to come into an Earthquake and then, I don't know, Earthquake the Avatar of Earth away into a position where it diminished its power. Jesse, I think, time for a spell. Kellen or I forgot who cast the berry. Kellen cast the berry, taking care of the Green Knight permanently. Jesse trying to play a Rebex, but then realizing that his own site, Pebbled Path, disables charge, so he can't do that. He could play it out. He could play it out to a different site, but now he's looking at his hand again and rethinking what he wants to play. So just because he realized that wasn't legal play. Now he's just reassessing his options. It looks like he had some other things in his hand, and he chooses to play out a Phoenix instead. Playing the Phoenix to the River of Flame. And I don't remember exactly what his train of thought was in terms of positioning there. It does have Airborne, so it can defend a range of sites. Unfortunately for Jesse, at this point, I think I draw into... I want to say I draw into an Earthquake on this turn. So, I mean, drawing into an Earthquake on this turn, I can push in 9 points of damage. I can wipe his board, push in 9 points of damage on attacks. So I was just asking Stu, if I do 9 points of damage, can he do the last 4 to get them to the door on this turn? So I play an Earthquake, and then I choose no reposition, but if we were playing a super competitive game with optimal plays, I should have repositioned the, is it Tinchgel or Carleone? It's Carleone on the back row, forward. Stu, his original spell combo, he realized he didn't have, I think, either like the mana in his mana pool for it, or the threshold. I think it was the mana pool. But he comes up with a combination of spells that'll deal at least 4 points of damage to take them to door on this turn. So they are in a bit of a jam. It is going to be it's going to be difficult for them to defend, especially with our avatars so close to both of theirs. Jesse playing a Philosopher's Stone, no help there, or probably no help there. The fact that he's playing that out now makes me think maybe that's what he drew into on this turn, which is always awful. It always feels bad when you draw into a Philosopher's Stone or or a core, like a mana ramp, mid to late game, when you're looking for like a card that is gonna have a little more juice and like do something to save you. Jesse playing Rebex away from the Pebble Pass, swinging into Kettle Top to remove that. Taking a step with the Sorcerer to get away from the Avatar of Earth. Kellen playing Feast for Crows. I don't remember what he called. He might have called Vampire. I think he called Lightning Bolt, just because he was getting paranoid that a Lightning Bolt would end the game for them. Stu with the double tap kill here on his turn. He casts Burning Hands from the Templar to deal a point of damage to 2 points of damage to the Speaker, and then grapple shotting to the Sorcerer for a point of damage. So that was a pretty epic double tag end there to the game. One of the last rules for Two-Headed Dragon is that once you get to Death's Door, you have to deal the final points of damage, the death blow damage, to both of the avatars at Death's Door. I don't think you have to do it simultaneously. You could do one on one turn and the other on another turn, but you have to do it to both of them. So that was a real fun game. Two-Headed Dragon, super fun format. We are excited to play more of that locally here. And if you're interested in the format, please do check out Beasts of the Bay.